Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode, an introduction episode to your host and to the show. And we are your host. I am Vanessa.
And I'm Sara Austin, and this podcast sounds exhausting.
And it's going to probably not be as exhausting as it normally is for this one, right? This one's going to be like lighthearted fun. Get to know your host. Get to know what you're getting into before you hit play and hear about masturbating with a crucifix, for example.
Right.
Get a little warning. We're crude.
Yeah, a little bit of introductions. I have some fun, weird news articles that I want to share with you and get your take on. But I think mostly this episode is going to be,
Oh, good.
I think mostly this episode is going to be, for people that don't know us, kind of get to know us a little bit. We're going to tell you a little bit about the show, what to expect in future episodes, and hopefully you'll subscribe. And
it's a good episode for people just scrolling through looking for a new podcast. This is a good first episode to check out to see if this is it.
Yeah. So this podcast sounds exhausting. We're going to talk about all things exhausting, emotionally
and otherwise. Yes. You will throw up sometime.
Yeah. Anything that can be considered exhausting. So that's anywhere from, what are we doing? True crime, pop culture.
True crime, pop culture,
current events.
Yeah, divisive
topics. Yeah, taboo topics.
Taboo, like
exactly.
That. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like butt sex and stuff.
Right. Whatever's on our minds that day.
See, Sarah, if you were scrolling through and you heard that, you'd be like, butt sex.
Wait a second.
Favorite.
This might be for me. Is it my birthday?
Is it my birthday? Is it my anniversary?
Yeah. So a little bit about us. Vanessa and I have been friends for how many years now? 15.
17? Well, it used to be 15, and then we have continued to age.
Right.
But we met in high school.
Yeah.
And we didn't match at all, which is great. So I was not out of the closet yet. I was a tomboy. I had long hair. People called me Kid Rock because I just didn't do anything with my hair. You probably remember.
I had Kid Rock hair. It was parted down the middle.
Blonde.
Just,
dirty blonde. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't do nothing with it. And I would wear a plain white shirt, if you remember, and then some beige Dickies, some Vans.
Yeah.
And I even had these chains that you made fun of me for wearing. I don't know if you remember. I had a necklace and a bracelet one, the silver chains that you'd get at the mall.
Yeah, rightly so. I made fun of you.
Well, everybody else thought maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Did they?
And Sarah, this is great. We got to post that high school photo of yours on our Instagram, which is
for sure.
TP. What is it? You made it. What is it?
You can find us on Instagram at TPSE podcast. I just got it set up, and we'll be using that for reference photos after each episode, and then just little insights into what we're
Facebook on. If you're not privy, I'm not privy to Instagram. Facebook is just, this podcast sounds exhausting. It's pretty simple.
Yep. You can find us on Facebook there, or you can go to our website, at thispodcastsoundsexhausting.com, and it'll just link you back to all the things we just told you.
That's right. And it's in an endless loop. Congratulations.
Yeah. And just, if you feel up to it, you can follow us, subscribe to us, all that good stuff.
So if this goes to my plan, which I have to get approval from the boss, who,
that's right,
if you don't know, is Sarah.
Yes.
And there is a high school photo of her, and she's got short jet black hair. It's cut pretty short on the back, maybe 2 inches, spiked, hot pink.
It was like the let me talk to your manager haircut before it was the let me talk to your manager haircut.
Yeah, it was
when it was just emo haircut.
Emo, yeah, exactly. And she's got, eyeliner. She's got the whole thing, but she's got a Marilyn Manson shirt on, which I think I got that for you. And your handcuff. Not handcuffs, but handcuff earrings.
No. Yeah, they're earrings that are handcuffs, and I'm 14.
Yeah, I know. And
I did not understand the implication.
I took a photo of her watch, and it had these spikes on it because she had to let everyone know, fuck you, I'm a rebel, right?
Yeah.
Nonconformist. But tell them what the yearbook person wrote in there, because it was very passive aggressive, wasn't it? It was kind of rude.
God.
Surprisingly,
it's
right?
actually, it's about I think it's no, maybe it is about the bracelets. They took
No, it
two
is.
separate photos of me. One is of my hair, and the other one is of my accessories. And I think it says something like Sara combines these black and pink bracelets with a spiked watch, and surprisingly, it looks great.
Yeah.
Like,
Such
this
a
fucking
bitch.
bitch.
So rude.
Surprisingly, it did fucking look great.
I was with you that day they took that photo. You remember?
Yeah,
You
just
almost didn't do it.
I know.
You were not about that.
Very conformist of me.
You almost told her to go fuck herself.
I know.
I
But I
know.
did it. And secretly I was pretty happy.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I was featured in it just because I just was out of the way. You know what I mean? You stood out. Everybody knew to stay away from you. You're very
Yeah.
outspoken with teachers. So you were outspoken against the adults.
I was just a rebel without a cause. I had a lot of shit to be angry about, and didn't know how to be angry about it. So I was just angry at the world.
I only had friends in many different groups because I think it's because I was the first one, because this was a new high school in Surprise, Arizona, right?
Yep.
And when it first opened, they didn't let all 4 grades. It was 9th and 10th grade. Sara was a 9th grader. I was a 10th grader at the time. So my class was poised to be the inaugural class, right? And in 11th grade, which I think is when we were friends already, I turned 18. Mm-hmm. And I was the first one on campus to be 18 and have a car. I was the only car parked in the student parking lot when that first started, right? So I'm one with the car, so suddenly I have friends, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't, there's no way we matched. You were surrounded by I call them your minions, your followers, right? They all the cool people, right? They were all, nonconformist as well.
Uh-huh.
And I think you made out with my girlfriend.
I did.
Yeah, at the time, my girlfriend at the time. And I thought you were so cool. I wanted to talk to you. Mm-hmm. So her name is Sara, by the way. That's her given name without an H, because that's
God-given name.
But in high school, it was Sara, wasn't it?
Listen,
too cool for your name.
I hated the name Sara. I thought it sounded really preppy and stupid. And so when I moved from one town to another to this brand new school, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm just gonna have a brand new name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can't just make up any name I want. Like my stripper name would be Bambi.
You literally did anything else you wanted, but that you didn't want to do.
I was like, okay, well, what's the easiest way I can transform Sara? Oh, I'll just tell everyone my name is Sara.
Sara, yeah.
So that's so cool. Literally, I still have friends that only refer to me as Sara. In fact, it took you 10 years to not call me Sara.
I called you Sara in high school and you would bitch me out. So you had me I was scared of a punch if I called you Sara. So yeah, I'm still scared of a punch with you sometimes.
I am over the Sara thing though.
That's good. I'm glad. So I was pretty socially awkward, I'd say. And so my one thing that was an in with everybody is that I was funny. I could make everybody laugh. Didn't matter what group they were in. I was a pretty good class clown, I thought. So I thought I'd say something funny to you. And this is a testament to how not alike we are, and how probably I'm not funny. Because I said something to you, like I heard you gave my girlfriend SARS. Because at the time, SARS was a big thing in 2002 or something like that, 2003. And it went right over her head. She didn't care at all. It wasn't funny. I don't think she said one word to me, and that was just the end of it. Like, okay, bye. And so I felt pretty deflated. But I caught you on your way between classes down the stairs, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I said something to you because the door was already open at that point.
Right.
And Sara says that she was probably heavily medicated that day because she was very manic, if you will, right? So you're more talkative.
Yeah.
At that, it just I
was having a good day.
Yeah. And somehow, in one flight of stairs, walking normal speed, she managed to just sum up everything going on in her life. I'm on a lot of medication. I'm bipolar. I'm da 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 da. Okay, we'll see you later. Right. And then we parted ways. Yeah. And I was just dumped with like a plethora of information. I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know what any of it mean. There was no easy access to internet at the time. I couldn't Google what you said to me.
Right.
I just had to be like, okay, well, at least you didn't tell me to go fuck myself.
At that point in my life as a angsty teenager, I think it was maybe a coping mechanism or something to like, if I met somebody new, just tell them all of these like horrible facts about me. And then if they were scared off, cool. I didn't need you around anyways. And if you still liked me afterwards, if you still wanted to get to know me, then awesome. I have all that shit out of the way.
See, I think that's what we have in common, because to me, what that reminds me of is how I have a saying when I describe myself to people, and that's, you ever been in a situation where there's that big elephant in the room? I'm the person giving it a name. Like, not only am I pointing it out, but I'm getting into it. I'm giving it a name.
And
yeah, exactly. So I thought that that's kind of what you were doing in a way, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but I did. I had a car, so that worked out really well, because then we could just hang out whenever. And
you could buy me cigarettes.
Not true. Didn't happen.
Yes, she did.
No, Shannon, don't listen to her. That's not true. You had them. Admit it. You already had them.
When I look back, I always had cigarettes. Neither of my parents smoked. I don't know how I always had. They just magically appeared.
Hold on. Without getting into too much crazy detail, let's explain. Would you agree that I'm probably the top 3 most straight arrow person you were hanging out with at that time?
Absolutely.
Do-gooder, right?
Yes.
And you were trouble. Isn't that right? Yeah. So, so I liked rap. I liked D12 at the time. Sarah did not. She did not like rap at all. She despised it. She liked Marilyn Manson instead. This was before Manson and Eminem even collabed.
Yeah.
So, and my babysitter when I was little liked Marilyn Manson, and I saw his video where he dresses up as the Pope. So I just had this real bad image of him. He scared me. I was raised hyper religious, and made me nervous. And so Sarah comes out of computer class with something she printed off. She's like, I wrote this poem. And anything she would do, I would just say, oh, it's amazing, right? So I'd read this poem. I said, this is really good. It's really well written. I liked it. Da, 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 da. She's like, yeah, I didn't write that. That's Marilyn Manson lyrics. Took the paper and fucked off.
Now you like Marilyn Manson, huh?
Yeah, now I like Marilyn Manson. But now you like some rap, don't you?
I do very much. Yeah.
So
I've definitely opened up my musical tastes.
That's kind of a juvenile micro example, really, of our entire friendship, though, isn't it? Where it's just we found somehow two disagreeable people found a way to agree and like what the other person likes, or
and now as adults, we do have very different lives.
Yeah.
I'm a married mom of 3 boys.
In Michigan.
I live in Michigan now. Moved back to Michigan about a year and a half ago. Vanessa's still in Arizona. My day-to-day is I'm a cosmetology student right now, but I'm mostly just a stay-at-home mom, or domestic goddess, as I like to say. Don't you make that face at me.
I did make a face.
And
doing this. Baby shark. That's your life.
That is really my life right now. So our day-to-day lives are very different, but at the end of the day, we're still
single. I'm working.
Yeah.
I focus on work. Yep. I consider your kids like my god kids, if you will.
Yes.
And I have no one to spoil with, so it goes to the boys. I love them.
Right.
I think I have a pretty good relationship with them.
We are definitely a family.
I'm friends with Mr. X.
Yes.
That's the husband.
The husband. We're calling him Mr. X for now because
it's none of your business, people. I'm sorry. You were going to be polite to our listeners. Go ahead.
I haven't discussed with him whether or not he wants his actual name used or anything like that. So for this episode,
he'll want us to promo his stuff, and then we'll get to pull him out of the husband closet.
Yeah, for sure. And he also does like our sound stuff and our webpage and things like that. So he's, we're all like a family, and at the end of the day, even though we have these seemingly different lives, we're still the first people that each other call when something's on our mind.
She literally, no, not just that.
Not just that.
I had a trip planned out there 2 days before it. This is in February, right, for my birthday.
Of 2017?
Without getting too close to the date, but what did you say? Did you just say my birthday?
I said of 2017.
Yeah. So, and I get a call from Sarah, very calm, very monotone call. And she very calmly explained to me that she had just completely broken her ankle. She was outside in the snow. Her dog got a case of the zoomies and hit her full speed. And literally, you guys will have to post those photos. I'm sorry. But we
Yeah.
had really your leg after surgery, okay?
Yeah.
And she broke it. And I thought I was getting an update about what's transpired then. Lo and behold, she is sitting there with her ankle dangling detached, waiting for the ambulance. And she called me to tell me not to cancel my trip because she knew I was going to see on Facebook or something when Mr. X would post something.
Right.
Didn't want me to freak out and cancel my trip. So she very calmly called me, literally in shock, with her foot dangling. She can operate in shock. I can operate in shock, but that's because of my, time at the sheriff's office or whatever. But I was thoroughly
she wasn't in prison or anything.
No, I was running it. But you impressed me with that because you were completely in shock and you just, information.
I still had to get shit done.
And when the information, yeah, you sure did. When the information had passed and we were on the phone, there was some pausing there because I was processing for a moment, and I could feel the shock subsiding and the pain setting in for Sarah. And she kept it together. But that's another example of how we are. We'll fucking break our leg during this podcast, and we will finish this show.
Yeah, because we have shit to do.
That's right. We're very busy people.
We're very busy, and I live in like a perpetual state of exhaustion. So it really is like the perfect podcast for us.
Well, let me explain how I explained it to your sister. I told your sister, I said, even though it's a hit or miss with our good conversations, right? And we've had them over the years. There's too many to count, right?
Right.
And even though 8 out of 10 times they're just mundane, same old stuff. First of all, we still do it. We're still involved in it. We still talk. I text you almost every morning, good morning. And I don't always expect a response, but the point is I don't have kids to raise. I don't have things that are going to come up that are going to pull me away. So I don't think I've told you this. I always initiate that first text just because even though we're going really strong with our friendship and everything like that.
Yeah.
We know because this has happened to us that people can disappear from each other.
Yeah.
And that can, that week where it's not a big deal. It's only been a week since I've heard from Sarah, which would be a big deal now. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If 3 days pass, we'd be like worried about each other at this point. But a week turns into a month, doesn't it? And I'm sure there's people out there who know that because adults are out trying to live their lives. And Sarah said it best when we reconnected a couple years ago. She said, listen, relationships take work, whether they're friendship relationships or whatever. They take work, they take effort, and they take mutual work and effort.
Yeah.
When the other is behind, like you, with your kids and your family in this hectic life, that's when the other person comes in, isn't it?
Yeah.
To keep that line of communication open. And I might be busy.
Right.
But I still try to do one thing a day. What did I do today to do something, a drop of water into this plant of a friendship, if you will, metaphorically speaking, right? And I think we do that pretty well. And that's only been going on a couple of years solid, right? Because we had our long break.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one day we'll be 60 and it'll be 50 years going. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think it really is because of these conversations and things that we're able to have with each other. And we both, I think, use comedy as kind of a coping mechanism, you know, when we're talking about tough subjects and especially things that we disagree on or that we're having a hard time like seeing from the other person's perspective, point of view.
Even when we're upset with each other.
Absolutely.
We're still cracking a little.
Yeah. You know, because it just...
Which is rare, by the way. We rarely get upset with each other. I mean, very rarely. Because the moment someone knows someone's upset, someone's sorry.
Well, because we're adults now, too.
Right. And because I see adults who are very selfish and egotistical, and they're more concerned with being right than they are with making amends in some cases.
That's true.
And I'm not concerned with that. I've always said Sarah is somebody who brings out the best in me. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Because
I don't want to be right. I don't care about those things. I want to have a healthy friendship with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Real, genuine conversations, whether or not we're on the same page or not. You know, it doesn't matter. we still have the ability to have a dialogue and have a back and forth. And I think a lot of the times we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes like a lot of conversation for us to like get to that point.
Yeah. Well, another thing we do is when there's a disconnect, we don't avoid it, right? We ask questions. I'll just say, hey, well, what do you mean? What is this, and this, and this? And when we're so used to each other, we're so comfortable with each other, we don't really follow social norms and social cues. And what I mean by that is you're not going to hear a lot of politeness. You might even think we're being rude to each other if you're an outsider. But we're not. We're just very abrupt with each other, very forthcoming and very witty with our little clapbacks with each other.
Yeah.
Sarah's probably the only person in my life I've met that can actually keep up with that kind of stuff. I even told your sister, you're better at it. I did. And she's like, yeah, sounds like you're whipped. I was like, because she's good at it.
Right.
You're very quick. So, so I try to be too. So that's kind of what's going to come up. We'll probably have a structured episode about some true crime stuff, Neverland, R. Kelly documentaries. I just sent you an article today about some asshole murdering some kid or something, and you want to talk about that in an episode, but watch how that tangents into something else.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or you'll be in the middle of saying something that you didn't think had any humor to it, and then I'll just whip in there with something witty. Same thing with our practice episode. We did a practice episode before this for friends and family.
It's on our Facebook page if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah. And I was talking about a documentary I watched, and Sarah was just, constantly interrupting me with the funniest shit. It was amazing. People loved it.
Yeah.
Not in a rude way. That's what I'm trying to say. Some people would think that's rude. It's not rude. That's great for podcasting.
No, and it literally is how we have conversations with each other.
Exactly why we're doing this podcast.
I love like the research side of things. That's why I like true crime. I like sci-fi stuff.
Shout out to your girls that do that podcast. Why not?
Oh yeah, like
My Favorite Murder.
I'm a huge lover of My Favorite Murder. I'm sure you've all heard of. I'm a huge fan of Last Podcast on the Left, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So I love listening to things like that. I love research. I love learning new things. I love deep dives into things. And a lot of that stuff is stuff that Vanessa you didn't really care to like look it up on your own, but you enjoy when I tell you about things.
Well, I do the same thing you do, but I do it with other subjects.
Exactly.
Right? So we come together and it's like, hey, what I don't know, she knows. Same thing for you. What I don't know, Vanessa knows, I'm sure.
Yes.
And that creates a good balance, a good dynamic. That's two full groups of people that would probably enjoy the show. So Sarah, you were describing it on the practice episode, but describe it again in a little bit more detail about, you kind of did like the Dana Scully, Fox Mulder, you're kind of out there and then I
Yeah, you're very much the like Dana Scully to my Fox Mulder, right?
Minus the cross necklace.
And the pantsuit.
Dana.
And the, bob haircut.
I just straight to wear a suit. I don't need a Hillary Clinton one.
Yeah.
Give me a regular
pads. Where I very much love like the weirder, obscure side of shit. Like I love watching true crime stuff, reading about it. I love aliens, sci-fi, conspiracies,
but like not in a degree.
We're not talking Alex Jones conspiracies.
Yeah, conspiracies that are like, they carry a little weight with them. Because Sarah likes conspiracies to the point where it doesn't make it or her unhealthy, I guess, is because there's very unhealthy conspiracies out there.
Well, and I absolutely have a good grasp on fantasy versus reality, You
have to.
Yeah. So I can separate those things and enjoy them for what they are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I really love the fact that Jimmy Carter invited aliens here and set up a peace treaty, and they're now living underground in Area 51.
All right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
We'll maybe do an episode on that sometime where I can tell Vanessa Tyler all about it. Mm-hmm. But I very much like that kind of thinking. That's kind of my niche. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, here's an example. And this is how the podcast idea actually came up. It was during my last trip out there, which was this past February of 2018. And Sarah has gotten into podcasts. And I never tire of learning new things about you, by the way.
It was February 2019.
19, right. I'm still stuck in 18. But so I'm learning all these new things about her. Like, she's really into podcasts. Never would have thought in a million years she'd be into it. And she's playing Star Talk with my guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson. My mind just went blank because I was just like absorbing that moment. I was just like, this is great. My best friend is more somebody I like already. And she was listening to podcasts. I love talk radio. I'm a huge Howard Stern fan, Howard and Robin. Sarah Navahide talks about that. I admit Howard Stern was a very egotistical, misogynist, etc. in the 90s, late 90s, even early 2000 maybe, but he's really cleaned up, I think. Anyways, moving on from that. Shit, that phone ringing threw me off here.
I can't hear it, so don't.
I learned that you're a big reader, and I didn't know that. And it really bothered me that I didn't know that. But if you think about it,
reading is something I do like for myself. It's like
you can't read when you're on the phone, though. And we spend all of our time connecting over the phone or over video chat. And when I'm out there, you're not so rude that you just pick up a book and say, "Hey, can you?"
I was so rude though to say I need to go take a nap.
You were not rude.
At least once a day.
Well, listen, maybe intermittent naps are a necessity for friendships. And it
really is, like I said,
for a full week. So, I mean, come on.
Perpetual state of exhaustion. I always need a nap.
No, that's true.
Continue.
And that's okay. Well, I didn't make it a big deal. I didn't care.
No, of course not.
No. I enjoyed my time. I got to play Fortnite without you making fun of me for it.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I learned that, and I was just like, she's telling me she went to the library, she went to all these books. I was like super impressed. And she's really into these podcasts. And I just was like, listen, do you want to start a podcast?
Yeah.
And she said, absolutely. What took you so long to ask? And we follow a Facebook page called That Relationship Sounds Exhausting, which is hilarious.
I got it. Exhausting.
Yeah. Relationship, right? And it was so funny because she would tag that page. I didn't know about this page. She tagged that page so I could see her comments on things. And she would comment on like Kanye West and whatever her name is, or someone else in a terrible relationship.
Right.
And she would actually say that about my ex, who, cheated on me and all this bullshit.
This relationship sounds exhausting.
That was like the end of every discussion, wasn't it? After I tell you everything is going on. Of course she was sweet. Of course she listened. Of course she gave advice. Of course she encouraged me to work it out with this person and all that stuff. But at a point it got, the encouragement should have been to do what's best for me. But anyways, I was like, we'll call it this podcast is exhausting because we'll literally have exhausting conversations like I was getting into earlier, even though 8 out of 10 of the conversations are mundane, repetitive. They're not mundane to us though. We enjoy those hearing about it. Yeah. But we will find this magical time where your kids aren't crazy or something. And, they are, but it just is a 10-second interruption.
Yeah.
And we'll just go on these tangents for hours and talk.
Yeah.
We'd be on video chat talking about something so intense that Sarah would start tearing up and crying, not bawling, but she would, it would cause emotions and things. And the conversation would be great. And then after 2 hours, Sarah would say, well, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I need to go to bed because we just process so much, or I need to go bath or whatever you do. And so that's how we came up with the name. You loved it the instant I said it.
Yep.
This podcast sounds exhausting because we're going to talk about all that shit that we talk about. We are going to force ourselves into those great conversations and force that to happen. And we're going to force you all to listen to it.
Well, and like I said in the friends and family episode, some of it is just me exhausting Vanessa.
That's true too.
Or Vanessa exhausting me. She's brought up topics before that were really tough for me to like process or voice an opinion on. And so I've been like, fuck, I'm already exhausted in this conversation hasn't even started, but I'm already invested in it. I gotta keep going.
I can read you pretty well. And I could tell when you're just like not... like I'm bringing up something and you're like not super interested in it or something.
Or I'm just not ready for it.
You're dreading that exhaustion and then it kind of happens and then you kind of roll with it. And then it ends up being a great conversation. So you're a good friend in that regard. You don't just say no when you want to every single time.
Right.
With those conversations. And they end up being pretty good.
Well, because like I explained to you the last time you were here, when we were watching a movie, we were really stoned and we put on...
I was.
Yeah. I might have been a little more stoned than Vanessa. We put on this movie. About halfway through, we go and take a smoke break because Vanessa
It was
and
Mandy, by the way.
Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage.
Cage's fucking crazy ass movie.
Listen, I cannot attest for the movie sober, but I can say stoned, it was fantastic.
I agree, but you were gonna say the conversation we had during the smoke break, which is about this. So go ahead.
Yeah, we took a smoke break. And she's like, "What's wrong?" You know, she could see this like look on my face. Are you okay? Is everything all right? And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just like really uncomfortable," you know? And she's like, "Well, you want to put something else on? Bob's Burgers or something?" That's always like my go-to if I'm feeling down.
Yeah.
Or The Office. And I'm like, "No, it's a good uncomfortable." She's like, "What the fuck do you mean? A good like who the fuck wants to feel uncomfortable?" And I'm like, "Me. I like it. I like that uncomfortable feeling sometimes. It makes me think. It makes me
consensual
get out of my own head." Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm choosing to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Like it's my choice to be uncomfortable in this moment, whether it's a conversation or a movie or a book or something. Cause I've read a lot of books that I have to like stop for a second, like I need a breather.
Right.
I like that feeling of uncomfortability. I think it's healthy. And I think people should put themselves in more conversations that make them uncomfortable. I think they should listen to more outside opinions. I think that they should read more outside opinions. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, like talk about these things, that little thing that you've always really wanted to know about or really found interesting and nobody else really does. Start talking about it.
Yeah.
You know,
You learn
bring
about
it
yourself
up.
too. You have to form opinions about certain things.
Yeah.
One of the most uncomfortable conversations we had was about whether or not we thought, because it was on the news, whether or not we thought pedophiles should be able to have access to sex dolls that are like children. That was uncomfortable as hell.
Yes.
We actually came up with an opinion without saying just fucking kill them, which is like, okay, in a world where that's not an option.
Yeah.
What? Because isn't that, here's I think where people fall into problems with, where I think that we get the most success out of our conversations, if you will, although we get a lot of humor out of them too, but the most, I think, success just between ourselves, learning things or whatever.
Yeah.
Where that could be helpful to people listening. The point is that there's idealists and there's realists, and we are both. We understand what the ideal world looks like, but we are capable of letting go of that ego that we think about, well, this is the way it should be, and I'm not open to anything else. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We see realistically, though, these people exist, and there are victims.
These viewpoints exist, and these
right. And how can we, as a realistic person, how can we deal with that in a manner which leads us more towards the ideal world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how we approach almost all taboo, divisive topics.
Right.
In a very vague, metaphoric manner.
Yeah.
What I mean. So.
And then sometimes it's just really obscure, funny shit that we want to talk about. Like, can I give you one of these articles?
Oh yeah, let's go get into that.
I figured this one was pretty on the nose, considering Vanessa and I are going on a cruise next month.
Yes, that's
right. End of next month already. So when I was scrolling through Facebook and I clicked on a HuffPost Weird News, I saw the headline, "Man escapes whale's mouth after being swept inside while snorkeling." And I'm like, fuck.
Well, maybe escaped alive. I feel like you'd be kind of okay with that because you're like obsessed with whales.
Dude, I'm obsessed with whales. We're gonna go snorkeling in the Bahamas. I'm like, how fucking awesome would it be to be in a whale's mouth? Like, how fucking cool is that? So I opened up.
What's his name? Moby Dick? Who's the guy from the story?
Moby Dick. No. Moby Dick is the whale.
All right. Who's the guy that got stuck in the whale? He would argue with you.
Jonah? Jonah and the whale. Are you talking about the Bible?
Look at me. Do I know anything about what I'm talking about?
I think what you're talking about is Jonah and the whale. The guy who lived in the whale for a while. I think it was also Pinocchio.
Move on.
Okay.
Pinocchio and a fucking whale. Wasn't that Cinderella? What Disney character was that?
I'm pretty sure it was Pinocchio. Somebody let me know.
All
okay,
right.
so Rainer.
Let's just not get eaten by a whale. Thank you.
Rainer Schimpf is a Schimpf, Schimph.
All right.
Is a South African dive tour operator who was swept into the mouth of a whale during a sardine feeding frenzy in February.
He lived?
Yeah, the 51-year-old was
like, ugh, get this out of my mouth.
It really is kind of like that. The 51-year-old was snorkeling near Port Elizabeth
How disgusting
Harbor.
Are we, first of all, that the whale would rather have sardines in its mouth than a human being.
Well, it's just like a shark. They don't really want us.
Don't tell Metter. Don't tell the baby that sharks eat people. He loves sharks right now because a baby shark. I told Sarah she was getting sick of it. It's just driving her nuts. You pull this baby, this 2-year-old, out of his crib, and I've done this. Pulled him out of his crib while I was there, and he will look you dead ass in the eye before you even get to the door. Shark? Because he wants to watch Baby Shark, and his mom was saying I'm going insane.
Right.
And I said, listen, just put on Jaws. We'll see if he. We didn't do that, but we thought it was pretty funny.
Let's see how much this little shit likes sharks now.
I like it more. Cool.
Wow. So he was this was back in February. Well, not back in last month. He was sucked head first into a bride's whale's mouth. A photographer was actually like on a boat nearby when this started happening, and so he starts snapping pictures. So there's actually, I'll put it on the Instagram, there's actually pictures of him being like sucked into this whale's mouth.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see the comment saying it's staged and fake. Why would you have a camera?
Yeah. I mean,
people don't have cameras everywhere now.
Right.
Out and ready to record if they're not already taking a selfie.
Exactly. He said about the experience, there was no time for fear or any emotion. I knew instantly what had happened. I knew that a whale had come and taken me, and I instinctively held my breath, assuming that it would dive down again and spit me out somewhere in the depths of the Indian Ocean. Luckily, the whale spit him out almost immediately, which is good because a bride's whale can actually dive for 5 to 15 minutes and reach depths of 1,000 feet.
So he would have died on the dive.
He could have seriously been fucked, but they said it spit him out almost as soon as it took him in.
Wonderful. Wonder how these stories end up in the Bible. This is how people things happen.
Yeah, shit happens.
And if you've ever played telephone, by the time a village person told the story of what they saw, he lived in the whale for a month.
Right. Well, I told you about when I was reading, I can't remember, but I was reading like dragon mythology stuff, and they were saying that the whole reason why the myth of dragons came to exist was ancient people finding dinosaur bones.
Right.
And bringing them back and being like, these are the bones of this fucking thing I just slayed.
Right.
And in their, heads, they've never seen pictures of dinosaurs. They don't know anything about it. So to them, there are these huge mythical beasts. And now we've just played telephone for
the T-Rex. Yeah.
Yeah. So Schimpf says, it was an interesting experience for me, but surely nothing I'd like to do again. I don't think I had a whale of a time. But I know, but I now have the inside knowledge of a whale, which nobody else has, which I'm not entirely sure that's true, since there's like marine biologists.
He needs to calm down is what he needs to do. He's trying to milk it. What's next?
I mean, he's 51. It's a cool story.
God bless him. I love him. Who's next?
I have Irish church begs thieves to return 800-year-old crusader's mummified head. So
I don't even know where to go with that.
So in Ireland, they have this like big
Andre, your people need to get it together. Andre's my friend. He lives in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, here's a story.
He always got some shit going on over there.
Here's a story for Andre. So church officials are pleading for the thieves who stole the mummified head to return the body part before it's further damaged. Like, I don't know how you could get more. I suppose they could set it on fire. Like, what else?
I don't know what they're doing with it.
It was a tour guide for St. Michael's Church in Ireland that discovered the thievery. The Crusaders, the Crusader is the name of this mummified body that they have. They call him the Crusader. The Crusader's legs had been pushed up into his torso and his head was decapitated. Archbishop of Dublin, Michael Jackson, said he was shocked that someone would desecrate this ancient burial place.
What a bad time to have that name, my dude. My goodness.
The
Michael
Crusader,
Jackson is
the
ignorant.
Crusader is he's like 6'6" tall, which is like unusually tall for a man
For anybody
in that time, especially.
Sure. Yeah.
So he like this crypt brings about 28,000 visitors each year. So it's kind of a big deal for him, or for the, you know, it's a big like attraction. The Crusader still has had his head, he still had skin, a nose, ears. Visitors were even encouraged to come up and shake one of his hands when they would come visit, which, like, how fucking cool is that? I would totally do that. You're shaking your head. I'm all over it. Reverend David Pierpoint, the church vicar, fears that the more than 800-year-old mummified corpse could deteriorate outside of the crypts because of like where the crypt is located and its like atmosphere and climate and all of that. It's kind of kept like these bodies
No, I hear you.
in like really good
Sure.
condition.
Yeah. Like taking a steak out of the freezer.
Yeah. Back in 1996, they were vandalized. All it said was a group of teenagers had vandalized the crypts and seemed to be, quote, playing football with the heads. So.
Oh my God.
But for this one, in addition to the Crusader, the Vandals also desecrated several other bodies in the crypts, like the 300-year-old body of a nun that had been, quote, trashed with her head turned around the wrong way.
Sounds like a Friday night for Sarah before she had kids. Listen, I'm trashed, my head is turned around, and I'm dressed like a nun.
How the fuck did I get here?
Why was I not invited?
It's been 300 years. They also broke into the family crypt of Irish mathematician William Hamilton, opened a coffin, and dragged its, quote, contents out. I don't know. I'm guessing that's just body. I don't know. Local police are investigating the incident, and Reverend Pierpoint says, "We're not quite sure what the motive behind all of this is, whether it's vandalism or we don't know. I say perhaps Satanism."
Oh my God. Satanic panic.
Or it's just a fucking group of asshole teenagers. But don't plan a trip anytime soon, because according to the Irish Times, the crypts will be closed to tourists for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no shit. There's no skeleton to shake hands with over there.
I do hope they find, you know, whatever, because it is like a historical thing. I mean, you know, it's not cool.
God, what's going to happen when you're on the news for walking your dog and you find a skeleton body and you report it to the police and they're like, local woman, Sarah, walking her dog, found a skeleton. She laid with it, took selfies, shook its hand, made a secret handshake. Then she called the police.
No, it would be more like local woman found a body, then did her research, figured out a bunch of clues, and caught the fucking murderer. Here she is to accept her award.
You better shout out our podcast, man.
No shit.
Put all that shit together.
Here's a good
2
one.
hours into the podcast, I'm like, you reported it, right?
No.
How are we going to get our award and the key to the city?
Listen, we have a scoop to the story. We are breaking news.
Yeah.
In other breaking news, Lincoln the Goat elected mayor of a small town in Vermont.
Listen, they elected the guy who I know him from Howard Stern, but he owns the Bunny Ranch, which is in Vegas because prostitution's legal there.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
He ran for governor or mayor or something. He died and then later won that election. What are we doing?
Well, listen, I was super excited when I saw this, so I picked it and I was like, I saved it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to this tomorrow and write up my story. I was super excited because I fucking love goats, right? Anything with an animal, I'm like, awesome. An animal in power, perfect.
Oh, okay, with power.
But I read the article and like the most interesting thing about it is the headline. Basically, a 3-year-old Nubian goat named Lincoln is poised to become the first honorary pet mayor of the town that I didn't even care to write down in Vermont.
What a town.
He beat out other candidates like dogs, cats, and a gerbil named Crystal.
Crystal, that bitch. She just had too many scandals. She didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, what a slut.
Yeah,
my last one, man accused of choking driver for singing Christmas songs in March. And listen, I get it. Like,
so do I.
get it. Who the fuck? Who is doing that? Why are you doing that?
Why are you doing it to the point that someone chokes you out?
Why, as a driver, why would you choose to do that to someone?
The driver was choked out?
The driver was the man playing the Christmas songs and singing along.
He's playing them on his little radio, stereo, in his car.
I don't know if it was a taxi or Uber or what.
Right, and he's singing, and then the passenger just lost it.
Yeah, it says a Pennsylvania man was arrested last week and charged with aggravated assault after allegedly choking a driver who refused to stop singing out-of-season Christmas songs. Police say Clayton Lucas, who is 25, choked the driver until he nearly passed out. Neither the driver nor the song were identified. So,
probably Mariah Carey.
It's probably Mariah Carey.
It's a hard time for people.
March is a hard time for people. Stop fucking singing Christmas songs. What's wrong with you? Police also said that force was needed to subdue Lucas after he did not respond to their commands. He was very pissed. But to be totally transparent in this story, Lucas was being driven from a halfway house to a treatment class when the music set him off. So we may be dealing with more like mental illness or drug addiction rather than...
Tell you something, you're picking someone up from a halfway house to some other fucking halfway house. Are you going to do anything besides just sit quietly at 10 to 2 on the wheel?
Right.
Drive them there.
Why are you making their life any more fucking stressful?
We are assholes. This guy's a victim. We're just fucking tearing him apart.
I understand he's a victim. I don't think he needed to be choked, but you're picking up a dude from a halfway house. You're taking him to a treatment class.
They're
already stressful and tense enough.
Yeah, it might have been soft singing. Listen. Listen, don't give the wrong impression on this first episode. You're the most empathetic person I've ever met.
Listen, who plays, let alone sings along to Christmas music?
You're gonna die on this Christmas hill?
In fucking March.
You're gonna die on this Christmas hill?
I will die on this hill.
You're ridiculous.
I fucking hate Christmas music. I love Christmas. Love it.
Wait till I come and visit you in February. You know what I'm gonna be singing and
you
playing
will be
on my
sleeping
phone.
In the fucking snow.
Well, you won't choke me, you freak.
I might. Anyways, Lucas is due in court this week for his aggravated assault charge. I hope he gets the help that he needs. I hope the victim's okay, and I hope he learned his lesson about playing Christmas music.
Are you crossing your fingers?
No, I'm not, I swear.
I know.
I do hope he learned his lesson, though. Like, what a dick. But he's probably the type of guy that now after this, he'll only listen to Christmas music for like ever, just to make it a point. It sounds like the kind of dick that he is.
Listen, he probably got a 1-star review for that ride. So.
I wish they would have, released his name. I'd give him a 1-star review.
Probably already has a whole bunch from people who didn't choke him out. They just fucking give him 1 star.
This fucking dude.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so those were my my weird news stories for the week. I figured I don't think I'll normally do stuff like that, but I figured I'd throw in those funny ones just for this episode since it's kind of a lighthearted, like, not that all of our stuff's going to be super heavy.
If this episode was a burrito, this is the rice that filled it.
Yeah.
Those articles.
Yeah, it's just fun stuff.
I don't like rice.
And this is, fuck off.
I didn't mean I didn't like your articles. I mean I don't like rice.
This is like the rice in my burrito. I don't really like rice, but sometimes Chipotle just, I feel like weird if I say I don't want any rice, so I just let them put it
they
on.
look at you weird like, what?
Right. You don't want any of those?
What do you you freak?
Well,
what about ideas for upcoming episodes? Let's brainstorm. Let's do it off script. Let's just see what we can think of. Maybe someone will hear something we say and say, hey, that sounds really good. Or they'll hear something we say and say, hey, listen, that's stupid.
Yeah, I know everybody, like, everyone's like, talk about Leaving Neverland or Surviving Neverland. And talk about
I know, the staples, right? Okay, so
R.
get the staples out of the way. R. Kelly, Neverland, presidential issues right now.
Yeah.
abortion's really big right now, right? Because New York passed that law, and it's just a big deal. And
I don't really, before we get ahead of ourselves, I don't really want to say what our next episode is.
okay, I know what our next episode is.
Yeah.
I won't say it.
Okay. I took 2 notes today.
Wait. We agreed that we would give a sneak peek to our next episode, so people tune in at the end of. Well, what the hell are we gonna do? Can we give them a hint?
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about some, what would we consider them, psychological issues?
Well, yeah, we'll just stop with those two. Those two we'll keep. But what about the first part where aren't we gonna start with that documentary on Netflix a little bit?
I haven't totally decided yet. I haven't finished.
So then we can talk about it right now as a possible episode in the future.
Yeah, but I wanted to tell you the 2 things I wrote down today.
Oh, and I'm just interrupting you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
So in my notes on my phone, if somebody ever were to open it.
Listen, don't think, oh, wow, Sarah takes notes. She's the organized one. I have been making docs, trying to get her to do it. She's been avoiding. And then today, for some reason, she's on fire today. She's been doing just made our Instagram today, got us likes today. She said she's hustling today. She was singing about it, and she's been taking notes.
Organized, what do they call it? Controlled chaos.
There you go. She loves chaos. That's her favorite.
So 2 possible show topics I have. Incest.
Oh, God, hit me right in the fucking heart.
And Cult Awareness Association. I didn't know that.
Talking about incest. In what regard? Is it moral? Should it be legal, etc.?
Yeah. Because
I sent you that article of the first cousins getting married, and you were like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt anybody," and I was like, "Yes, it does. If they conceive, it can hurt their kid. They can have defects."
Right, and I was like, "I suppose you're right. I should probably do some more research on that." So I made a note, and then I also found out that there's an organization called the Cult Awareness Association, and I love learning about cults, so I figured I could do some research on that. Oh,
so they make you aware of cults. Oh God, how have we not said cults yet? God bless you. You're so smart. That's so smart, Sarah. Yeah, we're going to talk about cults. And listen, that's going to be a scary episode because I really feel like if it goes a certain direction, Sarah will truly, honestly start one. Because she'll be like, it's legal, making money, people worship me. Yeah. Sounds a lot like high school with you, doesn't it?
Fuck off.
Sorry if they're listening, but you guys need to admit that you guys were basically a cult following. You're still waiting for Sarah to say something profound every day. It's probably why you're tuning in. You're getting right back into it.
She doesn't say a lot of profound stuff. That's another thing with this podcast is not every episode is going to we're not super intellectuals. We're just normal fucking
I'm an intellectual. Just kidding.
That's true. That's what I kind of call back to what we were saying earlier is I get on these really big ideas and these really out of the box weird shit. You can kind of reel me back in.
Sure.
Whereas you are much more skeptical, fact-driven, rational.
I might get tunnel vision too on my shit and get very naive, or not naive, narrow-minded. And then because I've just grown such respect for you and what you say, if you say something more than once against it or something, I actually listen. It takes a lot to change my mind.
Yeah, but it will you will at least try to see my point of view or what.
Yeah, I don't just change my mind. I don't mean to say that. I think what I'm trying to say is you the perspective hits, because that's really what needs to happen when I do change my mind about something I'm strongly passionate about, like something I hadn't thought of. You say it and it really does change how I feel about it, where most people reject that, right? We all suffer as humans from egotistical issues like confirmation bias, which is going to be another, probably not an episode, but it'll probably be something that we use regularly, terminology. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Confirmation bias, if you've never heard of that before, is basically where you have a bias towards a belief. Maybe just an example. I don't mean to just come out the gun with something so divisive, but maybe you're white and you don't think white privilege is a real thing. You grew up white, whatever experiences you have, you don't. And you avoid articles or statistics or information that actually tell you you're a little bit wrong or completely wrong. And rather you follow groups that just confirm what you believe. Exactly. Instead of learning something else. That's what confirmation bias is. Yeah.
Or you have the opposite. No, not the opposite. But you have what I have, where somebody, anytime Vanessa tells me something, I immediately want to refute it. Even if I agree, I
That's
will
just
like,
called being a bitch, Sarah.
yeah, I will just play devil. I'll say, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate and, try and argue it from
Oh yeah, but I love it. That's what I want to hear. And you can do
yeah,
that even if you completely agree with me. At some point,
exactly.
we'll get so heated in the argument, Sarah will have to be like, pause. I
I
agree with
really
you.
don't give a shit about this.
Not, not all the time. You pretend sometimes you care. Well, you'll say, listen, I agree with you, stupid. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, what are we doing? We're learning. Get
You're
in.
learning. Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
yeah, devil's advocate. That's a good thing. I mean, I think that's a good thing where you kind of say what maybe someone who knows more about it isn't there to say based on research or talking about it.
Right. Well, and it's like when you open yourself to other perspectives and what other people are saying, it makes it easier to then play devil's advocate and be like, well, this is what other people are saying. This is how other people are feeling.
Sure.
How do we respond to that?
Yeah. And I'd say I would hope that one of the things that comes from this from some people listening is that they challenge those confirmations, or they don't listen and get frustrated when we say things that they don't necessarily agree with, that they might actually consider it and not be so closed off or closed-minded. Because I don't think we would be if people came on and gave their opinion or their criticism. I think we do a pretty good job of respecting other people's opinions and perspectives and things like that, and giving it some weight.
Or I might just tell you, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that might possibly happen.
It depends on what
on the mood.
It depends on the kind of day I'm having, how
Yeah,
my kids have
exactly.
acted that day,
So
whether or not my husband is, listening to me. Yeah, it'll definitely depend on the mood. No, we've already agreed ahead of time. I'm not going to engage in any bullshit. It's exhausting in the
Who
wrong.
agreed? You and him, or you and I?
You and I.
Oh, like trolls and stuff.
Yeah,
No,
we
obviously
already
we're not.
agreed.
Yeah, you don't want to give validity to the bullshit. Like if someone said,
Yeah.
a certain race should be exterminated, like the gays.
Yeah.
That's not something you're going to give any validity to.
Fuck no.
For obvious reasons. We're
Mm-mm.
not saying that we're going to give them any weight, but we're saying if some people have religious constrictions, like my family, I have a family. They're very conservative. They're very hyper religious, but they're very biblically based, which is unlike, in my opinion, other Christians who cherry pick what they want and they make it their own.
Mm-hmm.
So if my brother, for example, my little brother, who has a podcast, Stir the Soul, it's a great podcast for Christians who want to, learn more about stuff in the Bible. But anyways, if he takes a certain position on something and I know the Bible enough, his Bible enough to know where that comes from, I'm not angered by it. Suddenly I'm not offended by it that he dismisses my point of view as an LGBT person because he has a Bible verse that says, don't lean on man's understanding, lean on God. So he can't take my understanding.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't bother me that we need religion as a society, sure, but that's separate. We're talking about two people interacting, trying to come to an agreement.
Right. But then you bring me into that conversation and I'm furious.
I know you're furious. I understand.
And so it's like, but it's good because then you and I can have this conversation.
Yeah,
and
because
then
maybe I'm giving it too much validity.
And I learned to understand how you cope with that. When it's
your family, I do need to cope with it.
Exactly. And so at first I was so pissed when we were talking about this, like, tell him to just fuck himself. Like, who gives it? Like, fuck him. But I did learn a lot from you in that, in how you cope with that and how you have come to this understanding and that you respect his beliefs. You respect that in what he believes.
Yeah.
And it's really opened me to be able to respect how other people believe. And
I got to let go of hurt and anger and animosity I might have had towards him because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we can laugh about certain things. And I hate to say it, Daniel, I really appreciate the gift, but he sent me a book, good God, gay girl or something like that. And we had a laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm cool to laugh like that, but I still appreciate the gift and I kept it. I didn't just throw it away.
Right.
At least.
Yeah.
I didn't promise I'd read it or anything like that. But he also sent me a documentary, American Gospel, I loved it. It was about, I don't know if I told you, but it's about the prosperity gospel. So you see the evangelicals talking about will positivity in your life and give me money, basically.
Yeah, like an MLM.
Kind of like an MLM.
Yeah.
But on a biblical basis. I don't know. A biblical scale. But how that's not only wrong, but it's not biblically correct.
Right.
So I thought it was really informative and I thought it was really well done.
Well, your brother does for you what my grandma does for me, right? Because my grandparents are pastors and they're very progressive. They're very the opposite of Vanessa's religious family, where my religious family is the type of religion, or is the type of Christianity that does kind of cherry pick things. And
Well, actually, don't say that, because you made a compelling argument against me for that. And I said that about your grandma, and I should not have. And I want to take that back and apologize, because you said my grandma sees it as most of it or some of it metaphorical. And if
yeah, absolutely.
right. And if you don't see it as literal, then you're actually then now we're in a whole other area where, okay, so they're not willfully ignoring certain verses and just avoiding them, right?
Right.
So they're just not taking it literally. They're taking it as a more of a metaphor, whereas people like my brother take the Bible very literally. They feel compelled to do it. They feel like that's what they're called to do and what they need to do as Christians to be able to be that way. But you told me your grandparents see it more as a metaphor, and
yeah,
if they see it more as a metaphor, then they really don't fall under that, in my opinion. My brother probably would argue otherwise, but this is our podcast, excuse me.
right.
And I see that very differently now, and I don't feel the way I did. So I'm glad that you made that argument for them, because it was a good one.
Yeah. My grandma, she's very loving, and
She is. I love grandma.
yeah, and she's very accepting of the fact that I'm an atheist. And she doesn't try to push religion on me or anything like that, but she will do funny things, like anytime she finds a book written by a pastor who happens to have tattoos, she will get it for me. Like,
honestly, sounds like a playgirl you would masturbate to already.
Like if any pastor or youth, or religious leader happens to have like a couple tattoos or a piercing or like some wacky hair, she thinks it might be something that I would be interested in.
God. Tell the listeners about that thing you went to at that group, and they had that day to make you feel welcome.
Oh God.
Please. Please. It's such a good story.
All right, real quick. So when I was about 13 or 14, like I said, I was a very angsty teenager, suffering with a lot of undiagnosed illness.
Emo,
yes.
Which are teenage terms for what Sarah was just saying. Mental illness.
Yeah, a lot of undiagnosed mental illness, and I obviously dressed like very gothy.
Hot Topic
movie poster.
Yeah.
I was walking Hot Topic. And so I had to start going to counseling. And the counselor, the therapist I was seeing suggested that I start group therapy with other girls my age that could possibly be going through the same kind of things that I was going through, and that it might be good for me to be around other people like me. And
Sarah's a pansexual, so let me tell you something. She was flirting. She was like,
several
girls only. Okay, I'm in. It's the only reason she volunteered to do it. She was really looking forward to having seances with them and leading them in the seance.
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't really a volunteer position. It was like you need to do this.
So you were very pissed.
I was not super thrilled to be part of this group therapy. It was something I'd never done. And to be honest, I felt the whole thing was just kind of beneath me. So I get to this class. It's like 10 of us in a room. Nobody really looks like I do, which looking back now is kind of interesting to me. You would expect that a whole, room full of 13-year-old kids that need group therapy would look like I do, so outwardly depressed.
You were pissed there were cheerleaders there.
Yeah, but it was basically...
What problems can they have?
Yeah, a group of me, and...
They have a lot of pressure, Sarah.
That's true. They do.
And their moms probably feed them Monster energy drinks and Starbucks.
That's what I'm saying. Looking back, I can see that they probably did have a lot of real issues that at that point I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Anyway, so the leader, the lead therapist that led our group therapy, she could obviously tell after the first couple sessions that I was not into it. Like, I didn't want to be there. This was not my scene.
And that you looked different from everybody else.
Yeah. And I was very uncomfortable. I did not want to be there. I didn't want to be in therapy to begin with, let alone group therapy.
Sure.
So the next week I come in and everybody sits down and the therapist, we're all sitting in these chairs in a circle, and she says, Sarah, I think she was calling me Sarah.
Sure.
We had this great idea
delusion.
and we're super excited today to make you feel more welcome and, you know, more a part of this group with all of us. We're going to have a gothic makeup party. And I am like,
let me tell you something. I've never wanted to be a part of a group therapy more than I've ever when I heard this story. To be there to see your face.
I literally said no.
Let me tell you something too. I would not be a good friend where I'm like, this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, come on, Sarah.
Don't you want to be part of the gothic makeup party?
This is great.
And I was
go ahead. How did it go?
I'm like, no, I can't. Is this for real? Like, is this serious? She's like, I just think it would really help the girls here to get to know you. You know, you'll see that you have a lot more in common with these girls, and it will just be like a real open, fun, free. And all these girls around me are like putting on black lipstick and feeling all dangerous. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
And I thought they were so BDSM, I bet.
Bless my mom, because as soon as I told her, she was like, I'm never making you fucking go back.
That's horrible. I don't like that approach at all because
my mom was super pissed.
You know what it does? It kind of, even though it was kind of cheesy what you were doing.
It was very condescending.
It was very condescending and belittling to your own identity, wasn't it?
It was
that to me is the same as if I came in and we're going to have like a boy makeover because I'm very gender non-conforming.
Right. Okay, you know Vanessa, I mean? Today we're all going to dress in cargo shorts.
Yeah.
And a white shirt.
Like, listen, they can change in front of me, but I don't want them dressing in drag, please. Thank you.
Not my kink.
Yeah, not.
So yeah, that was an interesting time in my life. But like I said, good for my mom because she saw that bullshit and was like, yeah, I'm not fucking making you do that again.
So I'm thinking you and I should have a gothic makeup party.
Oh, absolutely. Now I'm totally down.
Because you don't do that every day now.
Well, and I've gone to regular therapy. I'm on good medication. I'm good for it now. Now I'm down.
Cool.
Back then, I was like...
Now we have to do it probably, right? Our listeners are going to see us after we've done our makeup like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll have to do mine. I don't know anything. I wouldn't know nothing. I would
where to start.
Probably go blind trying to put eyeliner on.
I'll help you out.
Because it's not good.
No.
When you said you wanted me to put makeup on you like a tutorial, I was on board, but I was really scared for you.
Aww.
Like I thought I was going to do something to your eyes or something. Even with the goddamn surgery. I really just thought you just bitch me out the whole time too.
No, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you guys got to know us a little better. I hope everybody's excited about where this podcast is going to go, what we're going to be talking about. I'm really excited for next week's episode, which it's actually not going to be next week for you guys. We're going to actually release this episode and episode 2 on the same day so that if you enjoyed this,
Monday the 18th is the ideal release date.
Yeah, you know. Ideal release date.
We have lives, so shit might happen, FYI, but that's the goal.
Yeah, the goal is to, release it on the 18th, right?
Monday the 18th.
Yep, and so you guys will have this episode, and, if you enjoyed it and everything like that, you'll have another episode.
Go right into a real episode, right?
Yep, to jump right into. So I'm excited about that. Again, you can...
and we'll decide later on, right? If we're going to do one a week, once every other week.
Yeah, I think
once we know about how time consuming it is for everybody involved.
Yeah. I think we're going to shoot for once a week.
I
would like to shoot for once a week, but
I'm on board.
Yeah. But just time permitting and things like that. We'll do the best we can.
Vanessa, do you want to force Sarah to talk to you for 2 hours once a week? Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sign me up. So again, you can find us on Facebook at This Podcast Sounds Exhausting. You can find us on Instagram at TPSE Podcast. You can go to our webpage, which is thispodcastsoundsexhausting.com, and you can email us at thispodcastsoundsexhausting@gmail.com.
I was also thinking we'd make like maybe a group chat or something where we invite original listeners. So the first so many to listen by episode 3, maybe.
Right.
Because, they might have the most input or the best input. Not that anybody else would. I mean, if you're listening and this is 2023, first of all, God, I hope Donald Trump is not president.
Please.
But and you're going way back, feel free to go on the Facebook page and make a comment or make a suggestion. We have an email, this podcast sounds exhausting @gmail.
Yeah, that's what I was throwing out there. Yeah, you can hop on our Facebook, throw us a comment if you want to start a thread or something like that. Or if you want, a more anonymous approach, feel free to email us if you have questions, comments, topics.
It's a good idea. If someone wants to say something anonymously and have us discuss it. Maybe they're having something that they don't know what they feel about. Right.
Something that's weighing on them.
It's a lot of pressure.
Listen, we're not therapists. We're not doctors. We're not psychiatrists.
We're not angel card readers.
Fuck no. I do love tarot cards.
I know you
aesthetic. Do. That's a whole other episode.
That's another episode too, about mediums and all that. Predatory behavior.
Mm-hmm. We don't claim to be any of that. We're two normal women.
We're smoking hot, smoking smart, awesome, funny chicks. Thank you.
And so if we sound like the kind of people you want to listen to, we're excited, and we're going to be hopefully streaming on all
SoundCloud, Spotify,
podcast player, Stitcher.
What's the Apple one?
Apple Podcasts, I believe.
What a fucking name I could have thought of.
Right.
The Apple Podcast called.
Definitely subscribe to us so that you get a notification when our next episode hits.
And I thought your sister had a good idea. She watched or she listened with a friend. If you've got a friend where you feel like you guys have similar conversations maybe in a while or whatever the case may be, listen with a friend.
Yeah.
That's whatever. They're probably going to be about an hour in length in average. So I mean, your commute is a good time for it.
Yep.
We're probably going to break into at least half. Right. Some episodes are going to be so intense they might even be 2-parters or the full episode.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But it might be in 2 parts so you can at least pause or resume at a later time. I hope so.
That's when I like to listen to podcasts, on my commute or while I'm
cleaning. Or you're a perv and you're just going to pull one out at night to us. We don't care. We're flattered. Thank you.
Whatever gets you to
no
hit that
unsolicited
button.
Dick pics. Thank you. Well, Sarah, just give your email for those.
No, I don't want it.
Let's just put that out there right now.
Yeah, no fucking thank you.
Yes.
How about that?
If someone we don't like their email.
Yeah.
Maybe one of our listeners wants them. We can just say, hey, please forward your unsolicited dick pics to her.
What? Yeah. We'll do that for sure. If you want dick pics, let us know. We'll put you on the wait list, and when we get one, we'll just send it right to you.
Yeah.
You can do with it what you will.
That's right.
No, this is a judgment-free zone.
Although is there a Donald Trump email?
There is.
There is. Mike Pence, actually. Let's do Mike
some Pence. Sort of FBI list for the future, but that's where we'll put it. But yeah, thanks for listening, you guys. Hope you had a good time. We sure did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.